Well, hey everyone, welcome to Art Therapy Thursday at Hope and Healing at Home. Hope you enjoy the daisies. I thought they might be kind of cheerful to look at. I'm going to show you what I finished up last week with a repurposed journaling. I said I was going to someday make a journal out of it, so I did. And I did post a video on that on YouTube and then shared that. I just wanted to flip through real quick to give you a glimpse of some of the things that I got accomplished. Lots of layers, lots of fun stuff. I made a couple more poems or repurposed journaling thoughts. So again, you can watch the YouTube video for a better flip through. Just wanted to show you real quick. My favorite layout turns out to be this one with the guy and the dog. I love how the colors repeat through here. I did end up turning the dog around so we could see the cool pattern back there. And I found this clever solution for the words I didn't like on the page. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed last week's and did some repurposed journaling of your own. Today's Art Therapy Thursday with the Joyful Gnomes from Jan Russell Volkmann. She's been making these while she's been in quarantine lockdown, and they're pretty cute. They make me smile every time she posts a new one, and I'm hoping that everyone will enjoy making one. Thanks to Jan for giving us the instructions, and I do in the notes section today, we'll post the step-by-step photos and description of this process and a couple reflection questions that throw a little bit of a more therapeutic spin on this activity. But one thing to note about art therapy is sometimes the therapeutic value really is in just the act of creating, and sometimes it's in the product. And I feel like most of the time it's in both. So Jan makes her gnomes out of Sculpey clay. And I went and scoured my mom's place because she still has stuff for the grandkids, and I discovered some Play-Doh. Grabbed a couple colors of that, and I'm going to use that today instead of Sculpey. Sculpey is really great. You can bake it in the oven. You can get air drying clay that you just let sit out and it hardens and dries out. You can get both of those in all sorts of colors, but you can also get it in just a single color or white, and then when it's all dried or baked and cooled off, you can paint it and seal it and enjoy it. Whatever you created, whether it's an ornament or a gnome or an animal. Let's get started. So step one is to obviously gather your supplies. So you're going to want your clay, Sculpey, Play-Doh. You're going to want a glass plate. And maybe you'll want wax paper or something to protect your surface if you decide to roll the clay out on the table. Some kind of wood. I grabbed a stick today and this little shim that I had around the house. So you can grab a toothpick. I just didn't have any of those on hand. All right, so the first step here is to grab a color, any color you want. I'm going to go with blue. Put your own personal spin on this. So grab a chunk of clay, and you're going to roll it in a ball, just like if you're making a snowball for those who live in a snowy climate in the winter. Or if anybody does baking, just like when you're rolling cookie dough together, till you like the smoothness. And then you're going to press it onto the plate a little bit because you want the bottom to be a little bit flat, so you could twist it on the plate, giving it a little pressure. So I'm going to set that one off to the side here because the next step is to grab two different colors of clay. I think I'll go with blue and white today. You want these two chunks of clay to be about the same size, and you're going to roll them into ovals or small tubes or whatever you'd like to call this shape. And if they start to crack a little bit, pull apart, you just sort of smush it back together, my very technical term. So when you get two sizes here that are about equal, with two different colors, you could probably add a third or a fourth color to this. You'll just, make them a little bit more narrow, and then you're gonna push them together a little bit, and gently, you might have to keep patching cracks together a little bit for right now. You're just gonna gently twist them together, and then you're going to roll it between your hands again, Again, I just kind of keep compressing it because I don't want things to separate. I want them to meld together. I'm going to make a single cylinder type shape here. And then you're going to twist it again. And I know I don't have music on today, but you could put some nice background music on for yourself. Or right now I can hear the birds chirping outside. And it's just kind of nice to hear those things. Pay attention to your surroundings and just enjoy being creative, doing something fun with your hands, letting yourself go back to childhood a little bit. So the next step that Jan said is to shape this into a hat. So I think what I'm going to do, take part of it off and start pressing my finger into it. So I'm just going to shape it around my finger a little bit, kind of until you get it the shape that you want. It's sort of a wizardy type hat. I'm going to give it a little brim. And when I do this, I press down gently and I kind of roll my fingers like this, if that makes sense. Just sort of smush the clay out. And I'm rolling my thumb over my finger like that because I want the clay to start taking on this shape. But as it rolls between your fingers, and don't push too hard because I'll show you what happens. If you push too hard all of a sudden, you'll get super thin in the middle. And you'll get cracks. So if you press kind of gently and you just keep gently easing it out, you should get a more even spread. And then to make the inside, I put my finger inside to support it because again, it's hollow in there and we need to be able to press against something as we're shaping the head portion of this hat. See right here, I have a little bit of a crack, so what I'm going to do is just gently press it, and it's a lot like working with cookie dough, or if you've ever worked with clay, same idea, or played with Play-Doh as a kid. And then to create this tip, I'm going to squeeze it again in between my fingers and rotate them because I don't want there to be points like a square. Just keep altering where you're putting the pressure and shape it into the direction that you want. So there is my, there is my hat. You can smooth it out, you can perfect it as much as you want, or you can leave it a little uneven. All right, so the next step we're going to start working on his little body, and I just want to check. It's a pretty big hat for the size body I made, huh? I think I'm going to add some more blue and make my gnome's body a little bit bigger. So again, just kind of smushing it on. Did any of you like playing with Play-Doh when you were a kid? What kind of stuff did you used to make? Who did you play with Play-Doh with? Did you have siblings or friends that were very creative with the Play-Doh with you? I remember those tools that they would sometimes send. You could get those kits and you could put your Play-Doh in it and press the lever and you'd get like spaghetti noodles. Did any of you have those? I always thought that was super fun. So again, for the body, you roll it into a ball like a snowball or a cookie dough ball, and then you're going to press it onto the plate a little bit so you have a nice flat bottom. I think I'm going to break off a piece of twig. You could do this with a toothpick. Press it in here so that I'll have something to attach a nose to. And I don't know, what color should I make the nose? I've got yellow, white, and red. I feel like blue might be a little redundant for the nose. And then shoes would be an option. Since I have lots of this, I think I'm going to make the shoes out of this mixture. And I'm just going to take smaller balls out of these, some kind of interesting looking shoes. I'm going to shape them to be a little bit of an oval so that I can put it to look like the right size. That looks pretty close. Kind of press it in there. Make sure the part of the shoe that you like is showing. And you can reshape things. That's one of the nice things about playing with, whether you're working with Play-Doh like I am, or if you're using Sculpey or air dry clay, you can keep reshaping it until you're pleased with it. Trying to figure out what color I want his hair to be, or her hair. We could have like red hair, we could have white hair, we could have yellow hair. We could also have a red nose, a white nose, red hair, white nose. That seems a little too colorful with the red nose and yellow hair. White nose, yellow. I think I'm gonna go with yellow hair and a white nose. So for the nose, it's just a smaller ball that you're going to roll out here. And yeah, my stick is too big here. Can I make it a little smaller? If you have a toothpick, this would be a little bit easier. We'll make it work. Things I had outside or around the house. So what I did is I took the stick, you could use a toothpick for this, and I attached it to the nose first, and then I'm going to slide it in and attach it to the body of this gnome. That is a really big nose, isn't it? What's it look like with the hat? Oh my goodness, this brings me back to the Smurf days, huh? Did any of you watch the Smurfs? I feel like that nose is too big. So I'm gonna edit. It's nice when things are this easy to edit. Oh, another option, if you don't want to go buy Sculpey or air dry clay, or if you don't have Play-Doh on hand, is you could make salt dough. I'm gonna add some more clay in here. I made that hole too big. Salt dough, which is just flour, salt, and water. Pretty sure everybody would have those supplies on hand. It's a giant nose. It's still a giant nose. We're still going to take some more of that off. Something I like about doing art and art therapy is it just keeps evolving and changing, and you keep bumping into different problems and then finding a new way to solve them. Helps you stay in the moment. Yeah, I like that size better. And I decided I'm going to go with yellow hair. So the way to do the hair, beard, mustache, is you roll it, so you can, I rolled it in my hands, but you can also roll it, so you roll these out, we used to call them snakes when I was younger. So you press equally, gently but equally. This is maybe a little bit dry. Gently roll it so it gets thinner and longer. If your fingers move opposite sides, you're gonna get cracks or it's gonna break, but you can always start again. It's a little bit tedious. There's something fun about any kind of art where you can just get your hands into it and go back to that playfulness of childhood and relax doing it. There's so many reasons I like art therapy, but that's one of them. Once you get your hair rolled out, and I'm not going to roll out all of it in front of you because that might get a little bit boring for you, and I just want to get this little one finished here. You're going to break these up, and if you want a beard, you could probably do that before you put on the nose, or you can move the nose since it's on a stick here. And you start pressing it in with a toothpick. I have a chopstick, and you can just kind of tear it off at the end. I don't know why, but I just thought of Elmer Fudd. I'm like, oh my goodness, he kind of looks like Elmer Fudd right now. So you just keep rolling out your hairs if you want a beard, and just keep rolling, keep gently pressing one end into his body, into his face. I guess it's his face and his body all in one, until you like the look of it. If you roll them out thinner, it might look a little more convincingly hairy, like a beard. Beard hair is pretty thin. Make it kind of curly. You want to give him a nice mustache, and then you can press that nose back in, if you guys can see this. But you just kind of keep pressing, manipulating the clay, Play-Doh, whatever you're using, till you like it. I feel like that nose should be a little bit more overstuffed. Oh, and I just want to show you this other option real quick. If you didn't want to make a bearded gnome, you don't have to. Maybe you want a gnome with some braids. This is much nicer. Just rolls out lots better. So if you use Play-Doh, or you want to make sure you use kind of fresh clay or Play-Doh so that it works really nice, because when it works really nice, look how thin you can get that. And long, and it all stays together, it doesn't crack off on you. So if you want to make braids, obviously you need 3 strands, preferably of equal length. You could even do 3 different colors, or 2 different colors, however your imagination decides to take flight. And just like if you're braiding hair, you're going to start by pushing them together, and then left over middle, right over middle, and so on and so forth. These remind me of this braid, maybe because it's red. The licorice that comes in the little strips. I forget what they call them. But those were always good for playing with your food. I think I'm gonna give her some kind of a little blue bow of sorts. There's a little bit of white, so that'll match her hat. Maybe you just put a band around it, press it together. Oh, I made a very long braid for her. Again, press that on where you want it. Obviously, we'll make a second one, but for right now, she's just gonna have one. Kind of press your hat on how you'd like it. Let's see if you want a tassel on the end. That again, that'll be a small little ball. If you want to texture it so it looks like a tassel, take your toothpick and... Do you hear the dogs complaining? I told them it was nice out and they needed to go outside and not play in here. They're not real thrilled with me right this second. Make this a little bit thinner. So again, when you're moving clay, you're gonna press, but not super hard. It's a gentle press. I'm gonna make an indent for that tip of the hat to go in. That looks like the tip needs to be thinner. Remove some. None of this has to be perfect. This is all about play, having a nice time, relaxing, distracting yourself from whatever stressors are going on in your life right now. So I lost all my bumps, so I'm gonna add some texture here. You can make this as personal as you want. You could add flowers, you could add insects, polka dots, anything you want on here. So maybe like if I wanted to make a daisy, I could just kind of smush little petals together. And maybe it's not a daisy. Maybe it's just, you know, some kind of a flower, little teardrop shapes, petal shapes. This is not about perfection. This is about play. This yellow is not cooperating. I was thinking I wanted to put like a flower or something on her hat. So you can press things on with your fingers. You can press them on with a toothpick, or I'm using a chopstick. I'm not really worrying about how the middle looks, because with the flower I'm gonna put a center on this flower and it'll cover up all of that imperfection in the middle here. So there that is. One thing I was thinking about earlier as I picked the daisies, I was thinking, oh my goodness, wouldn't this be fun to sort of make my gnome able to hold flowers? So there's a couple ways you could do that. You could literally just make the whole gnome a vase. You could poke straight through the hat. You could poke it off to the side. Ooh, I kind of like that idea. Okay, so I'm gonna poke it straight through the side and wiggle it around, and you're gonna make an indent inside the head or the body of your gnome so that it could hold some water. So I'm just pressing out from the inside. Obviously you would need to seal that, so if you're using a clay or something, make sure you bake it, dry it, follow the instructions to cure the clay, and then you're gonna wanna seal maybe with like clear nail polish or paint of some kind. You'll wanna pour it in there. Make sure you swish it around, get it all covered so that the inside will be watertight. And then when you've got water in there, obviously it wouldn't hold water for long. It's a very tiny hole in there. You could go out and you could cut some flowers, and your gnome, as fun as it was to create it, would also then serve a purpose of looking cute on your shelf, but also hold some fresh flowers for yourself. So it could keep bringing you joy beyond today. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you guys decide to make a gnome or an animal or some kind of creation with some Sculpey, or like I said, air drying clay would work. You could make salt dough as well, paint it, seal it, make yourself a vase. Just enjoy the process. Like if you make it in Play-Doh, you could undo almost all of this and put it back in here for another time. I hope you enjoyed the process. Let us know if you decide to create something. Love to see pictures of that. And for step-by-step, if you like it out in writing, there's written instructions and some follow-up questions to ponder about this process and how it affects your mental health, relaxation, sense of play, things that it brings up for you, good things, questionable things, things to dream about. If you guys ever have questions that you want me to address, whether it's about art therapy or an art material, let me know and I will make sure to answer them or create a Facebook Live that directly uses that material or addresses that emotion or issue. And next week, I think what I'm going to do is blonde contour drawing, which has really helped people with trauma, deal with some stuff. So make sure to tune in next week, and I will see you then. Guys, have a great evening.